everyone, BJ Wyler here once again with another fantastic episode of Awesome Sauce for games. What are we going to talk about this time around? Well, it's going to be still, really even at this point, the big news on the block. The Elder Scrolls Online, yes, indeed, has been confirmed. It is going buy to play. Sort of a hybridization of free-to-play. It's actually not even going buy to play. It's going freemium. There will still be a subscription, a premium option available. Not unlike other subscription games that also have a free-to-play option at this point, most notably Star Wars: The Old Republic. But you will still have the initial purchase cost. It's not exactly free to play as we think of the term, to where you can just download the game and start playing and never have to pay a dime. You still have to buy the game outright, as in similar vein to ArenaNet with Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2, which do not have subscription fees. Basically, the Elder Scrolls and ZeniMax are doing away with the subscription fees. You don't have to pay that monthly rental fee to keep playing the game. And of course, last week we delved into this as the rumors, or not last week, but the last episode of Awesome Sauce, we delved into the rumors of it going free to play, with some things going on in the background, so to speak. The removal of the 6-month subscription option, and a few other things that we mentioned. And of course, I didn't think it was actually going to happen, at least not this early. I knew it was going to happen eventually. Anyone who did not think that the Elder Scrolls would not eventually, at some point in its life, be free to play, and sooner rather than later, I figured the game would probably go at least 2 to 3 years with a subscription before it went free to play. But obviously, as I speculated in our last episode, that changed, most likely and primarily because of the move to consoles. Now, the buy-to-play option, the dropping of the subscription fees, will occur on March 17th, and the release to consoles will be coming June 9th, and these are the next-gen consoles, the PS4 and Xbox One. So, of course, anyone who did not see this coming, you were pretty much deluded. Free-to-play, buy-to-play, these hybrid business models of the MMO genre are not only the future, they're here now. This is what the genre is now. This is how the genre will survive and thrive, as we have mentioned in previous episodes. We've already gone through the free-to-play versus subscription battle in an earlier episode, so be sure to check that one out. We're not exactly going to rehash that here, but of course, once this announcement was made, all the Elder Scrolls social media, the forums, Facebook, Twitter, all that, it was all much wailing and gnashing of teeth, as those who ardently supported the subscription model through thick and thin are now, oh my God, the world has ended, the game is ruined, and the usual idiocy that comes along with that. Now, one thing we will rehash is the mention of better community with the subscription model. Obviously not. Obviously not with how these people reacted from day one when the subscription model was announced, before release, up until now. Obviously, just looking at the attitudes of these types of gamers, obviously the subscription does not net you a better community. However, if these types of gamers are leaving because the game is now dropping the subscriptions, well, then you can rest assured that the community will actually improve at this point from now on. But, yes, what does this mean? How can you not see this coming? Well, as I speculated the last episode, primarily this decision came about because of the move to consoles, and this is why it has taken so long to get it to consoles. No doubt, as I said last episode, there was no doubt that this game was ready to release on consoles. You don't plan from the start for a multi-platform release and not have each of the platforms ready to go by the time you set a firm release date, even for one of them. So the game was ready for consoles. It was ready to go. The holdup, of course, naturally, was the fact that in order to, there with the Sony and Microsoft, they have their own monthly fees, that type of thing for Xbox Live, and all that good stuff. If you're a console player, you already know what we're talking about. So this is why the move to consoles was delayed, and this is why it was inevitable that the subscription fees for ESO would be eventually dropped prior to the move to consoles, because which developer in the right mind wants any player paying $30 a month, or whatever, the $15 a month subscription fee plus the console fee, just to play the game? It wouldn't fly. It would be an absolute spectacular disaster to release it like that. So this past year, obviously, ZeniMax has been in negotiations with Sony Online. They said as much prior to release, the original PC release, that they would try to work around this issue of the Xbox Live and the PSN network fees and figure out something to where console players wouldn't essentially get shafted for wanting to play the game. So this ultimately, of course, as you could probably tell, is that ZeniMax got the short end of the stick here. Obviously, Microsoft and PSN were not going to give the game a free pass, so to speak, for their console players. So ZeniMax had to give in, and of course the subscription fees had to go. So buy to play, personally my preferred method. As I said, the original Guild Wars set the tone for this. The game is still going on. Guild Wars will be celebrating its 10th anniversary in a couple of short months here. So obviously the business model works, and any fears or premonitions of disaster for Elder Scrolls Online will be completely unwarranted. The game will enjoy a long-lasting life, as many other MMOs up to this point have done by switching their business models or starting outright without a subscription fee. So, why all this hubbub? Why all this dread about buy-to-play and the cash shop? Well, like I said, it's this certain segment of gamers who are cheapskates, who believe that for the low price of $15 a month, they should get everything in a game. That should allow them access to every single thing the developer creates for a game. Way back when, 10, 15 years ago, when the MMO genre was born, yes, perhaps that would be a value argument. But let's take a look at things here. Let's take a look at the development and the costs of the gaming industry. Now let's just think back. 10 years ago, the subscription model, $15 a month. That has not changed. It is still $15 a month now. Have you started thinking about what is wrong already with this issue? 10 years. What in the last 10 years can you think of has basically remained static according to prices? Gas has gone up in the last 10 years. What you're paying for cable has gone up in the last 10 years. What you're paying for your phones has gone up in the last 10 years. The cost of inflation. Things go up in price as time goes on. But the gaming industry has not. We're still paying roughly $50 to $60 for a game that we did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and 20 years ago. Back in the 80s and 90s, we were paying $40, $50, $60 to play a computer game. We're still paying that price. If anyone thinks that the cost of development of these games has not gone up unbelievably substantially in that 10, 20, 30 years, is a complete moron, quite frankly. So, to call free-to-players cheapskates, I don't think so. People who play free-to-play games the evidence is out there. Go look it up. They pay more, essentially, Some of them, of course, you have your whales, as we've mentioned in the previous episode, free-to-play versus subscription. You got your whales, you got your average, and then you got your free-to-play players. On average, most gamers will and are willing to pay a proper amount for a game. So to expect a game to be able to maintain a certain level of development, a certain level of quality for the same cost that was 10, 15 years ago is completely asinine. You're an idiot if you ever thought that would remain to be a viable business model. Blizzard knows that. Just about every game developer at this point has come to realize that. That's why there are cash shops now. And no, has not ruined games. Games are still fabulous, if they're buy-to-play, free-to-play, freemium, whatever, any numerous of these hybridizations have come about. They're still fun. You still have thousands upon millions of gamers enjoying these games. Quality has not decreased. So the true cheapskates in all this are the people who fully expect to pay $15 a month and not a dime more and get everything the game has to offer. That is just not possible anymore. Not with how demanding gamers are with what they want out of the games. The development costs just cannot sustain a $15 a month subscription, so it has to be supplemented. The single player games we've seen supplemented with DLC extends the life of the game, helps keep the game going. The additional income for the DLC, the extra content that we pay for, and then above the initial purchase price. Same thing with MMOs now. Outside of the initial purchase price or the subscription fee, developers have to have this cash shop in order to supplement the income in order to continue development. Anyone who does not see that this is the only way for the industry to survive, as I said, is a moron, and you're basically deluding yourself. So get used to it, just like digital downloads, just like DLC. Free to play, buy to play is the future of the genre. It has to be the future of the genre. Blizzard has realized this. All these other games have realized this, and to great success, mind you. And like I said, ArenaNet started the revolution. Now, free-to-play, as I mentioned in previous episodes, free-to-play has been around as long as subscription. It was only because of certain high-profile companies that made us gamers believe that subscription was necessary to maintain a high quality of game. That is not the case. And of course, there are always exceptions to the rules. There are poor subscription-based games. Star Wars Galaxies, for instance, was the worst subscription-based game ever released. Quality-wise, content-wise, that type of stuff. Say what you want. Take off the road-colored glasses. The game was a historic POS. The only thing that had going for it was the Star Wars skin. That's the only reason it lasted 8 years, because people wanted to live in the Star Wars universe. But, like I said, free-to-play has been around just as long. There are examples of good free-to-play. There are examples of bad free-to-play, a la Defiance. The direction Defiance is moving is what most gamers fear, and with right. We definitely don't want pay-to-win games, and we want a certain quality coming out of our games that we pay for. I said most games are able to supply this quality as long as gamers get over their narcissistic, indulgent ideas about what a game should be. I believe I've mentioned this in previous episodes, but a game cannot be all things to all people. Play the game for what it is. Don't play it for what you want the game to be. Understand what the game is. Understand what the game offers. Play it for that. That was most of the problems that Star Wars The Old Republic had. People went in there expecting a certain type of game, completely ignoring all the evidence, all the stuff that was being released about the game. Of course, you had your usual hype. Every game has the usual hype, what they want to do, this and that. But Common sense thrown to the side. Oh, it's going to be this. Mismanaged expectations is the battle cry of the gaming community nowadays, along with entitlement, but that's a whole other episode. Maybe we'll get into it now, and that's the same thing that's plaguing ESO right now, the Elder Scrolls. People expecting the game all of a sudden the game is buy to play, no subscription models. All of a sudden the game is going to turn into a crap bag of festering snot. No, nothing about the game is really going to change. If you enjoy the game now, you're going to enjoy it on March 17th. You're going to enjoy it on March 18th. You're going to enjoy it on June 9th. You're going to enjoy it in 2015, 2016. There ain't much going to change about the development of the game. Except, of course, it will now have a more sustainable business model. It will have a steady flow of income. Again, you still have your premium option for the people who want to stay subscribed to the game. And it will have the cash shop, which will attract the whales, which will bring in a whole ton more money. I mean, again, the reports are out there. Take a look at the reports. Look it up. Wow. World of Warcraft, a fully subscription game with a free-to-play to level 20 option, made hundreds of thousands of dollars through the cash shop. Money that would not have been added to the game had it not had that cash shop and was only subscription. So more money to the game means more development. It's actually a good thing. But yet, there are the gamers who want to delude themselves. Now, of course, like I said, there are examples of bad free-to-play, but a business model ultimately has no bearing on whether a game is good or bad. The developer alone is the sole responsibility for that. So, if you have a good developer dedicated to what they are doing, you're going to have a good game, whether it is subscription, hybrid, or free-to-play. Neverwinter Online. Now, you can say what you want. There are some issues, of course, with Perfect World Entertainments, or Perfect World International, whatever it is. It's it's theories on cash shops, but nothing as bad here in the West as there are in the East. You want examples of bad free-to-play, of pay-to-win this and that stuff, you have to look games to the East. Nothing really here in the West skirts that, or is as bad as these naysayers, these doomsayers want to have people believe. So, yeah, there are some little things that might be a little bit ornery, but nothing you can't live with. And the game has regular quality updates. It's an enjoyable game. So is Star Trek Online. So a lot of these games, Planetside 2, Star Wars The Old Republic, big one, going free to play, made the game explode in popularity, has made it more profitable than ever. Now, of course, you can say what you want about some of the decisions of BioWare, with right, but again, the overall quality of the game has not changed from day one. Still a fun game to play and enjoy if you play it, and enjoy it, as I said, for what it is and not what you want it to be. That is one of the other keys here. Now, time and again, you go to any gaming forum, you'll find battles of one gamer versus another. I want this in the game. I want that in the game. This will make the game fun. That will make the game fun. Not necessarily. I mean, let's take housing, for instance. Not everybody enjoys housing. MMOs, housing is not a staple of the MMO genre. There are just as many MMOs out there that have no housing option as there are that do. Housing, like sandbox, like mini games, that type of stuff. PvP even. It's a niche product. So if a game is released without housing, don't play the game expecting and wanting to have housing in that game. Let the developers focus on what they built for the game. Now, if the developers are planning to release that at a later point, that's fine. Well, if they say, no, this game doesn't need housing, don't keep playing the game and calling it crap because it doesn't have housing. play it for what it is. If you don't enjoy what it is, then find something else to play. Don't try to make the game into something it is not, because there are thousands upon thousands of people who actually are enjoying the game the way it is, who are playing the game the way it is. Why is your personal preferences for a game more important than anybody else's? Those are the arguments you will find on any gaming forum. And again, this entitlement, this lack of common sense that is rife within the gaming community, which just simply boggles my mind, it just the gamers use it for every argument, but it really doesn't make sense. In fact, in a recent thread on the Star Wars: The Old Republic forums, there are certain gamers that, with their release of their recent expansion, or DLC, in all reality, Shadows of Revan, they raised the level cap to level 60. Level cap went from 55 to 60. Now, the raiding content, what they call operations in the game, they have released level 60 content. They have what they call story mode, which is sort of your normal mode, the original difficulty released for these operations. Then they have hard mode and nightmare mode, of course, designed to challenge the max level hardcore raiders. But there's a certain segment of the end game population, the people who want to play end game, the niche population of end gamers, who want all the operations previously. Of course, the original level cap was 50, then it was raised to 55 with the expansion from last year, and now to 60. They want all the operations tuned, rechanged in order to support a level 60 player, to offer a challenge to a level 60 player. Now, along with some of the arguments, because there are segments of the population who do not want that, who prefer that content to remain level 50 or 55, as the case may be for each particular raid/operation. And they have their reasons for that. First of all, it's like, well, not everybody's level 60, so how about, the people, as they're leveling, they'll want to be able to enjoy these operations, which, of course, is a legitimate argument. And there's also those segment of players who enjoy being over-leveled content, who find, who might run into a particular piece of content, find it too difficult at the level they're at. Then what they'll do, they'll just skip it and play on till they level up to a certain point to where it makes that content easier for them. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way RPGs have been for, decades at this point. And that's essentially how you played an RPG. You hit some difficult content, you go out, XP grind, come back, a more powerful character, and you blasted those mobs that gave you the hard time before. So there's actually nothing wrong with that playstyle. That is the heart of the RPG playstyle. But again, these people who want these operations tuned to level 60 are not entirely wrong either. They have a point where, in their minds, there is not enough endgame. Of course, there is never enough endgame for raiders. Again, go to any gaming forum and that would be the case. There is never enough content for these endgame players. And there will never be enough content to satisfy them, but that's a whole different story. But they do have a point where if they make all these older raids viable by tuning it to level 60 and, of course, adjusting the rewards accordingly, it will give them more stuff to do at level 60. But a lot of the arguments in this thread are, we have been waiting. Basically, the side of the raiders, the people who want it tuned, are saying, we've been waiting all this time for more endgame content. We haven't really gotten it. So doing this gives us our more content. And some of the arguments are, it's like, they're telling these people who don't want them retuned, it's like, why are your needs more important than my needs? You already see what's wrong with this? Can you already tell what's wrong with that reasoning, with that point of the argument? It's like, why are my needs more important than your needs? Or, why are your needs more important than my needs? See, it gets a little confusing there. You just turn the argument right back on them. But again, the lack of common sense Because the raider is only thinking what is good for me. I don't care about anybody else what is good for me. And this is where the self-centered, self-destructive nature of the gaming community comes into play. And this is something we really have to change. And this is, again, the whole thing with this whole Elder Scrolls Online going buy to play thing has exploded. People don't understand it. This is probably the best thing to happen for Elder Scrolls Online at this point. The game's only going to grow and get better because of it. But because it's all about the narcissist right sitting right here, gamers don't think about that. They don't think about the overall good. They only think about what's good for them. So these raiders are saying, why are your needs more important than mine? When those other people can turn around and say, well, why are your needs more important than my needs, than the needs of the person who's leveling, who wants to be able to enjoy this content? Now, again, like I said, both sides have a valid argument for their suggestions. They're just going about it in a completely asinine way to try to support it. You don't need to justify it. Yes, those operations should be retuned to level 60. But in that same vein, yes, they should also stay the same. For both reasons. They should be retuned to give those endgame players more content to do, but they should also stay the same for those leveling people and for those people who like to be over-leveled to enjoy that content. It's not, and you might be thinking, well, you can't possibly do that, but yes, you can. Like I said, there's story mode, hard mode, nightmare mode. You just create another mode, essentially. Now, of course, this will take development time, this and that, but again, this is where it becomes incumbent on the developers to say, okay, both ideas have merit. How do we make it work? This is where us as gamers should be uniting and going to the developers instead of fighting with our asinine mine is better than yours argument. Going to the developers is saying, hey, this is a good idea. This is a good idea. Here's our combined idea to make it happen and keep both sides happy. But unfortunately, that has not yet happened in the gaming community. And God knows when the heck that's going to be. But like I said, it's a lack of common sense. Just start using common sense. That's really all it takes. All this hubbub and explosion about Elder Scrolls Online going by to play, it's only going to help the game. It's going to bring more people in the game. It's not going to have a real detriment to the community, because like I said, you've got already the detriment to the community who are quitting because of their preconceived narcissistic notions. That's already going to make the community better. So having a subscription, like I said in the old free-to-play one, having a subscription does not guarantee you a better community. What it does guarantee is that you're paying $15 a month rental fee to play a game. But those are old arguments. What do you think? You agree? Disagree? Leave a comment in the comment section. Stay tuned, and we'll keep bringing you this awesome gaming news and awesome gaming opinions for awesome sauce for games. In the meantime, enjoy the Elder Scrolls Online for what it is going to be becoming, a buy-to-play game. At this point, personally for me, is becoming more and more worth the opportunity to play it. And enjoy Star Wars The Old Republic. Enjoy Neverwinter Online. Enjoy Star Trek Online. Enjoy Ultima Online. I think that's still around. Enjoy the games for what they offer, not for what you want them to be. And I think overall, then we will have much better communities and we will have much better games. Let go of the old, biased, untruthful, idiotic assumptions about games, about business models. And I think we, as a gaming community, will finally be able to come together, finally get some respect, and finally be able to enjoy the games we really want to enjoy even more. But until next time, this is BJ Waller saying thanks for watching. And until next time, I will see you in one of those games. Stay tuned.